The air on the observation deck tasted like recycled failure. Hannah could feel it, a flat, metallic chill that had nothing to do with the life support systems. She stood before the main viewport, her hands clasped tightly behind her back. Below, in the brightly lit central chamber of the ancient station they called the Proving Grounds, the artifact waited. It stood on a raised platform, silent and still. To Hannah, it looked less like a piece of advanced technology and more like a tombstone. "Play the Kroll log again," she said, her voice quiet. On the screen to her right, the recording flickered to life. The Kroll was a magnificent being, its body composed of interlocking geometric crystals that refracted the chamber light into rainbows. It was strong enough to shatter starship armor with its bare hands. It approached the humanoid-shaped suit, its form smooth and pearl white. The suit reacted to its presence, panels sliding open in a silent invitation. The Kroll stepped inside. For 47 seconds, nothing happened. Then the Kroll's crystalline form began to vibrate. A high, piercing frequency emitted from its body, a sound of pure distress. The rainbows from its body fractured into chaotic, jagged spears of light. On the data feed next to the video, Hannah watched the lines representing neural sync and biocompatibility spike violently, then plunge to zero. The Kroll did not scream. It simply came apart, its crystalline structure dissolving into a harmless, glittering dust that settled on the chamber floor. The suit powered down, becoming immaculate and empty once more. "Cause of failure?" Hannah asked, though she knew the answer. From a console behind her, Min spoke without looking up. "Total systemic rejection." The suit's neural interface attempted a handshake. The Kroll consciousness interpreted it as a hostile invasion. Its psychic defenses triggered a cascade failure. Its mind literally shattered itself to escape the link. Hannah closed her eyes for a moment. Next, the Borlin. The screen changed. The Borlin was a hulging creature, breathing the volatile methane mix that fueled its homeworld's engines. It was a biologist's dream of durable life, with a hide like reinforced polymer. It entered the suit with a warrior's pride. The failure was faster and more brutal. The suit system scanned the Borlin's unique biochemistry and attempted to adjust its internal atmosphere. But the process was not a gentle modification. It was a forceful overwrite. The Borlin's respiratory tracts, trying to process a sudden shift to oxygen-nitrogen, went into catastrophic failure. The creature convulsed, its mighty body breaking against the inside of the suit before it went limp. The suit vented a cloud of frozen methane and blood crystals. "It tried to heal it," Min said, her voice hollow. It scanned the Borlin's methane dependency as a life-threatening disease and attempted an immediate, aggressive cure. It didn't ask. It just treated. "And killed it in the process," Hannah finished. "Yes." One by one, Hannah reviewed them. The graceful SYLTH telepaths who entered a neural feedback loop and burned out their own brains. The amphibious Rel, whose cardiovascular system was deemed inefficient, and was shocked into cardiac arrest by well-meaning nanoprobes. 12 species. 12 of the galaxy's most advanced, most resilient forms of life. Each one had answered the call to test this ultimate artifact. Each one had died. The logs were a gallery of horrors, a scientific catalog of ways to die not in battle, but in a failed handshake. The door to the observation deck hissed open. Overseer Kaito entered. He was not human. His species had long, multi-jointed limbs and skin the color of twilight. He used a chosen phonetic name for ease of communication. His large, dark eyes took in the screen, now frozen on the image of the SYLTH's final, peaceful-looking collapse. "Engineer Hannah, Biologist Min, you have reviewed the data?" Kaito's voice was a soft hum. "We have, Overseer," Hannah said, turning to face him. "The conclusion is inescapable. The artifact is malfunctioning, or it was never meant for anyone. It's a trap, a monument to the arrogance of the builders, promising power but delivering only death." Min stood up from her console, pushing a strand of black hair from her forehead. "The data doesn't suggest malice, Overseer. It suggests a standard, an impossibly high bar for compatibility. Every scan, Every interface protocol it initiates is a test. A test every subject has failed at a fundamental biological level. Their bodies and minds are read as incompatible systems. The suit's responses are logical, if devastating. It's like trying to install a complex computer program on a stone. The stone breaks. Kaito walked to the viewport and looked down at the suit. It looked innocent. The Consortium Council remains interested. The potential is too great to ignore. A technology that can integrate so perfectly with a user could change everything. It has changed everything, Hannah said, a sharp edge in her tone. It has given us a graveyard. We should seal the chamber. Weld it shut. Post warnings in every known language. This is not a prize. It is a parasite. A parasite that offers no apparent gain, Min added. It consumes and offers nothing in return. Hence, a trap. Kaito was silent for a long time, watching the silent chamber. There is one more delegation. One more species that meets the broad, bipedal physiological template the suit appears to require. A cold knot formed in Hannah's stomach. She knew who he meant. The newcomers. The ones who kept to themselves, who worked on the lower decks, who were often overlooked. The ones whose most notable feature was their alarming adaptability and their frustrating fragility. No, Hannah said simply. The humans. Min breathed, understanding dawning. You cannot be serious. They break easily. They get sick from things we don't even notice. Their psychological profiles are chaotic. Exactly, Kaito hummed, turning from the viewport. They are different, and different is the only variable we have not fully eliminated. The council has requested they provide a candidate. Hannah stared at him, then back at the suit below. She imagined a human stepping into it. She imagined the body seizing, the bones breaking, the mind crumbling. It would be a quicker, messier death than the Borlands. It would be a final, ugly entry in the logs. You're not asking them to win a prize, Overseer, Hannah said, her voice low and furious. You're asking them to clean a grave with their own body. Kaito's large eyes held no emotion she could read. The request has been made. They are considering it. We will know their answer by tomorrow. He left the deck. The silence he left behind was heavier than before. Hannah looked at Min, who had returned to her data screens, her face pale. Below, in the sterile white light, the death suit waited. Empty. Patient. Hannah had a sudden, terrible feeling that it wasn't waiting for a victim at all. It was waiting for something else. Something specific. And the thought scared her more than all the logs of dead giants combined. The human sector of the Consortium station was different. It was not as clean or as quiet. The air carried a faint scent of recycled coffee and machine oil. The lights were warmer, slightly yellowed. Hannah walked through the main corridor, feeling out of place in her pristine Consortium uniform. Here, people wore patched jumpsuits and heavy boots. They nodded to her, their faces marked by a cautious curiosity. They all knew why she was here. She found the man she was looking for in a small workshop off the main engineering bay. He was not working on the station's sleek systems. He was repairing a broken heating coil for a food dispenser with careful, precise movements of a manual tool. His name was Jay. He did not look like a candidate for anything. He was of average height, his black hair streaked with early gray. There was a slight tightness around his eyes, a permanent squint against a pain that was not from the light. His left hand had a faint, almost imperceptible tremor as he fitted the coil back into place. Jay, Hannah said from the doorway. He finished tightening a connection, tested the coil with a small meter, and then turned. His eyes were dark, tired, but alert. Engineer Hannah, they said you would come. You know why. I can guess. He wiped his hands on a cloth. They want someone to put on the fancy suit. The one that kills everyone. His directness startled her. Yes, the council has asked for a human volunteer. Your leaders have agreed to provide one. A faint, humorless smile touched Jay's lips. Agreed is a strong word. They were told it was an honor. A chance to prove our place. We all know it's because we're the only ones left on the list. He gestured to a small bench. You can sit. Hannah sat, the metal cool through her uniform. You don't have to do this. No one can force you. No, Jay agreed. He leaned against his workbench, crossing his arms. But someone will. If not me, then someone else. Maybe young Tay, who has a new baby back on the ship. Or Sue, who just started her studies. He looked at his hands, flexing the fingers of his left hand slowly. I am a better choice. Why? Hannah asked. She had read his file. Former deep space salvage pilot. Medically discharged. Chronic neural damage from interface feedback. The suit, it requires perfect health. Peak condition. The other species, they were champions. Jay laughed. A short, dry sound. And look what happened to them. Perfect health did not help. Maybe the suit does not want perfect. He tapped the side of his head. My ship, the Gyeongbok, took a hit from a debris field 3 years ago. The main neural link for the grapplers blew. Feedback came right up the line. Felt like someone poured lightning into my brain. Killed my co-pilot instantly. I was able to detach the link before it took me. But the damage was done. He spoke calmly, as if describing a faulty engine part. I have neuropathic pain. My left side sometimes does not get the signal to move correctly. My own body feels foreign sometimes. I cannot pilot anymore. Here I fix small things. I am useful, but I am broken. He looked directly at her. You have seen the logs. The suit breaks the perfect ones. Maybe a broken thing is what it needs. Hannah shook her head. That's not logic, Jay. That's a guess. A dangerous one. The suit isn't looking for damage. It's looking for compatibility. And how do you find what is compatible? Jay asked. You try everything. You are an engineer. If a standard power coupling will not fit, you try a different kind. You try an adapter. You try something that looks wrong but might work. My people, we have always been adapters. This is just another adapter. A younger woman appeared at the door. Her name was Sue, and her eyes were red-rimmed. Jay, they are asking for the final decision. The council representative is in the common room. Jay nodded. Tell them I will be there. Sue bit her lip and hurried away. Hannah stood up. Jay, listen to me. This isn't a tool to be fixed. It's a predator. It reads a life form and rejects it. It will do the same to you. It will see your pain, your damage, and it will see that as another flaw to eliminate. It will kill you trying to make you perfect. He was silent for a long moment, looking past her at the wall of tools. When the link blew on the Gyeongbok, he said softly. For a few seconds I was dead. My heart stopped. My brain flatlined. The emergency system logged it. They brought me back. He met her gaze. I have already worn a death suit, Engineer Hannah. My own. This one cannot show me anything worse. If it kills me, you will have your final data point. You can seal the chamber. And my people will have shown we are willing to stand where giants fell. That is not a small thing. He pushed himself off the workbench. And if, by some strange chance, it does not kill me, maybe it can fix the heating coils. He walked past her and out into the corridor. Hannah followed, a storm of protest dying in her throat. She saw the way the other humans in the corridor looked at him. Not with pity, but with a grim, painful respect. They did not see a hero. They saw a man walking toward a known danger so they would not have to. In the simple common room, Overseer Kaito stood with 2 human elders. The air was thick with tension. Is this the candidate? Kaito hummed. I am, Jay said, his voice firm. You understand the risks? You have seen the data? I have been told the data. I do not need to see it. Kaito seemed to assess him, his large eyes taking in Jay's ordinary frame, his tired face. Your physiology is within the broad parameters. Your mental evaluation shows remarkable resilience markers, despite your injury. You are approved. Preparation begins in 12 hours. Jay simply nodded. The elders looked down, their faces lined with sorrow. As Kaito left, Hannah approached Jay. I will be your liaison. I will be on the observation deck. Good, Jay said. Then you will see it clearly. when it happens. He didn't say if. Is there anything you need? She asked, feeling helpless. Jay thought for a moment. Yes, tell them not to play music if it goes wrong. No solemn songs. No grand speeches. Just turn the lights off and go have a drink. That is what we would do. He turned and walked back toward his workshop, leaving Hannah standing in the quiet room. She realized, with a cold certainty, that he had no hope. He was not doing this for glory or for a cure. He was doing it as a final, useful act. A sacrifice with clear, pragmatic value, data and respect. And for the first time, looking at the closed door of his workshop, Hannah wondered if that particular kind of courage, the kind that expected nothing in return, was the one thing the suit had not seen before. The preparation room was cold and bright. Jay sat on the edge of a medical table, wearing only simple gray shorts. He felt the chill on his skin, but it was a distant thing. He focused on his breathing, in and out, steady and slow. He was not trying to calm himself. He was just observing the rhythm, like a machine he was about to leave behind. A medic named Min moved around him, attaching small sensors to his chest, his temples, the base of his spine. Her touch was professional and gentle. She did not speak much. These are the same monitors we used for the others, she said finally, her voice quiet. We will watch everything. Jay nodded. He understood. They would watch him die. He hoped the data would be useful. Hannah entered the room. She was in her uniform, her face a careful mask. She carried a thin, flexible piece of black material. This is a basic bodysuit, she said. It will help with the initial contact interface. The suit out there, it seems to prefer direct skin contact, but this is a protocol. Jay stood and put it on. It felt like a second skin, tight and smooth. He moved his arms and shoulders. It did not restrict him. The sequence is simple, Hannah said, meeting his eyes. She was giving him facts, and he was grateful for that. You will enter the chamber. The outer door will seal. You will walk to the platform. The artifact will activate. It will open. You step inside. That is all you have to do. And then it does what it does, Jay finished. Yes. Hannah's mask slipped for a second. She looked worried. Jay, if you feel anything wrong, anything at all, there is an abort code. Say the word Gyeongbok. The system will attempt to disrupt the link with an energy pulse. Did not work for the others. But it is there. He almost smiled. They wanted him to say the name of his dead ship to save himself. I will remember, he said, though he knew he would not use it. A chime sounded. It was time. Min gave him a final pat on the shoulder, a very human gesture, and then left the room. Hannah walked with him to the heavy door that led to the access tunnel. I will be watching, she said. I know, Jay replied. He did not look back as the door opened. The tunnel was short and dark. At the end, another door slid aside, and he stepped into the chamber. It was larger than it looked from above. The ceiling was high and domed. The air was perfectly still and silent. In the center, on a raised disc of dark metal, stood the suit. It was pearl white as he had seen in the logs. It was humanoid, but featureless. No seams, no buttons, no visible lights. It just stood there, waiting. He walked forward. His footsteps were the only sound. He felt the eyes of the entire observation deck on him, through the hidden viewport. He felt the eyes of his people watching from their screens. He pushed all that away. This was just a thing, a machine, and he was a man about to interface with it. He stepped onto the platform. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a sound like a soft sigh, the suit moved. A vertical line appeared down its front, from the crown of its head to its base. The line widened. The front of the suit split open, revealing a hollow, dark interior. An invitation. A mouth. Jay took a final breath of the station's air. He thought of his workshop, of the smell of oil and hot metal. A good smell. Then he stepped inside. The material closed around him. It was not cold. It was the temperature of his own skin. It pressed gently against the black bodysuit, conforming perfectly. He was standing, but he felt weightless. Darkness surrounded him. A light appeared in front of his eyes. Not a light he saw with his eyes, but a light inside his mind. A soft, blue glow. A voice spoke. It was not a sound in his ears. It was a thought in his head. The voice was calm, androgynous, and empty of feeling. Initiate symbiosis protocol. Neural handshake commencing. In the observation deck, Hannah gripped the edge of the console. The screens lit up with Jay's vitals. His heart rate was elevated but steady. His brainwaves showed normal beta patterns, alert and awake. First stage is normal, Min reported from her station. It is identical to the Kroll log. Initial contact is non-invasive. On the main viewer, they saw the suit from the outside. It was whole again, seamless. A faint blue light pulsed within it, outlining Jay's form. Neural interface deepening, Min said, her voice tense. Entering stage 2. Inside the suit, Jay felt a strange warmth spreading from the base of his skull down his spine. It was not unpleasant. Felt like sinking into a hot bath. The voice spoke again. Scanning biological architecture. Assessing system integrity. The warmth became a tingling. The tingling became a buzzing, like a low electrical current flowing through his veins. He could feel it mapping him. He felt it find the old, scarred neural pathways in his brain, the damaged nerves in his side. It paused on them like a finger touching a bruise. On the deck, Min's voice sharpened. It has located his injuries. It is focusing on the neuropathic site. Energy is building around the spinal column. Is it trying to repair? Hannah asked, leaning forward. Unknown. The Borland log showed similar focus on perceived flaws. Inside the suit, the buzzing sharpened into a pinpoint of heat at the base of his skull. The site of the old feedback burn. Suddenly, the heat exploded into pain. It was the pain from the accident. The exact same feeling of lightning in his brain. Jay gasped. His body jerked. Stress spike. Min called out. Neurosignatures mirroring his injury trauma. It is not repairing. It is replicating. Confrontation of system anomaly is required for symbiosis. The voice said in his mind, cool and explanatory. It was not fixing his pain. It was making him relive it. Not a memory, but the full physical experience. Jay's back arched. A silent scream locked in his throat. On the monitors, his heart rate skyrocketed. His brainwaves became a chaotic storm of distress signals. He is in neurological overload, Min shouted. It is the SYLTH pattern. His mind is trying to reject the stimulus. Hannah watched the vitals, her knuckles white. This was it. The suit had found his weakness and was attacking it, just as it had attacked the others. Jay was dying. Initiate abort, Overseer Kaito commanded. Pulse the chamber. A technician's hands flew over the controls. Energy pulse ready. Wait, Min yelled. She was staring at a secondary screen, her eyes wide. Look at the deep wave activity. Look at the theta waves. Amidst the storm of chaotic brain activity, a different pattern was emerging. Deep, slow, rhythmic waves. The waves of a mind in extreme focus or in a trance. Not of escape, but of deep, painful engagement. He is not fighting it, Min whispered, amazed. The others fought. Their minds tried to wall off the pain, to shut down. His is holding on to it. He is staying with it. Inside the crucible of pain, Jay was doing just that. He was not trying to run. He could not. So he did the only thing he knew how to do. He endured. He let the lightning burn through him. He remembered the Gyeongbok. He remembered his friend's face. He did not push the memory away. He held it even as it burned. Confrontation threshold reached. The voice in his head changed. The pain did not vanish, but it changed. It became a signal, a map territory. The suit now understood the damage not as a flaw to be deleted, but as a wound to be addressed. On the observation deck, the monitors went wild. Then, one by one, they flatlined. Heart rate, 0. Brain activity, 0. Respiratory function, 0. A flat, piercing tone filled the deck. The sound of a life ending. Hannah's hand flew to her mouth. Min slumped in her seat. Kaito stared, motionless. On the viewer, The suit stood motionless, its inner blue light fading to a dull, dead gray. "It's over," a technician said, his voice hollow. "Human subject has expired. Total system failure." The death suit had claimed its 13th victim. The room was utterly silent, save for the horrible, steady tone of the flatline. Hannah closed her eyes, feeling a crushing weight of grief and useless anger. Min, however, did not move. She was still staring at her screen. The primary vitals were 0, but on an isolated tertiary feed, a line monitoring the suit's own internal power matrix, a tiny rhythmic pulse continued. A slow, steady beat, like a heart, dormant but not dead, waiting in the silence. The flatline tone was the only sound in the observation deck. It was a clean, final sound. It meant the experiment was over. It meant they could all stop hoping. Hannah stared at the main viewer. The suit stood gray and lifeless on the platform. Inside it was Jay's body. She felt a hollow sickness in her stomach. She had watched him walk in. She had listened to his quiet logic. She had, against her own reason, started to hope for a different result. "Time of death is logged," a technician said softly, breaking the silence. Overseer Kaito let out a slow breath, a sigh that sounded like wind through dry grass. "Seal the chamber. Begin the report for the council. The death suit remains a terminal anomaly. Humanity is now included in the catalog of incompatible species." Min did not move. She was fixed on her console, her eyes wide behind her glasses. "Overseer," she said, but her voice was too quiet. "Engineer Hannah," Kaito continued, "you will prepare a formal condolence to the human contingent. We must." "Overseer." Min's voice was sharp now, cutting through the funeral atmosphere. She pointed a trembling finger at her screen. "Look." Kaito and Hannah moved to stand behind her. On her screen was a complex series of waveforms. Most were flat, green lines. 0 activity. But one window, labeled Suit Core Resonance, showed something else. It showed a single, smooth, rhythmic wave. A slow pulse. Up and down. Up and down. "That is the suit's own power source?" Hannah asked, confused. "It was," Min said, her words tumbling out fast. "During every other test, when the subject expired, this resonance flatlined completely. The suit powered down. It became inert. Look at it now. It is not inert. It is active, but at an incredibly low, coherent frequency. It is not the pattern of an idle machine. It is the pattern of a suspended process." Kaito's large eyes narrowed. "Explain." "It's like hibernation, or a medically induced coma. The suit has not shut down. It has entered a new stage. A stage none of the others triggered because they all died." Min turned to look at them, her face pale with a wild, terrifying hope. "His biological signs are 0, but the suit is still running a protocol. For the first time, it is running a second protocol." Inside the suit, Jay was not dead. He was nowhere. The pain had been a doorway, a white-hot doorway of screaming nerves and memory. He had passed through it. And now he was in a place of absolute silence and absolute dark. He had no body. He had no heartbeat. He was just awareness. A soft light formed in the darkness. It resolved into shapes. He knew these shapes. The cracked pilot's chair. The flickering control panel. The smell of burnt wiring and ozone. He was back in the cockpit of the Gyeongbok. He was in the moment of the accident. But he was not reliving it. He was observing it. He was a ghost in his own memory. He saw his own body, younger, strapped into the chair. He saw his co-pilot, Bin, laughing at a joke just a second before the alert screamed. He saw the debris field on the screen, the collision warning flashing red. He felt the shuddering impact. He saw the neural link panel explode in a shower of sparks. He saw Bin's body jerk and go still. He saw his own past self scream, his hands flying to his head as the feedback ripped into him. He saw the agony on his own face. The calm, androgynous voice spoke in the void around him. Symbiosis requires integration. To heal the physical archive, the experiential record must be processed. You have survived confrontation. Now you must understand. This was not an attack. It was an analysis. The suit was showing him his own trauma, frame by frame, sensation by sensation, but from the outside. It was making him watch. It was making him feel it all again, but without the blind animal panic. It was a forced, terrible mindfulness. In the observation deck, Hannah watched the single, pulsing line on Min's screen. "What is it doing to him in there?" she whispered. "We cannot know," Min said. "But the suit's power is being used almost entirely for neural processing. Not for physical manipulation. It is working on his mind." "His mind is gone," Kaito stated. "The monitors are clear. The monitors track a living, biological brain," Min argued. "What if his consciousness isn't there right now? What if it has been moved, uploaded into the suit's buffer while it works? The suit is keeping something alive. That resonance is a life support rhythm. But not for his body, for his pattern." It was a terrifying thought. Jay's body was clinically dead on the table, but his mind was alive inside the machine, being taken apart and examined. Inside the memory, Jay watched as his past self fought against the dying systems. He felt the terrible, wrenching decision to sever the neural link manually, knowing it might kill him but was his only chance. He felt the click of the override. He felt the sudden, silent void where the pain had been. The flatline, the nothing. Termination event acknowledged. The suit's voice said, "Cessation is a data point, not an end. You have returned from cessation. This is the required parameter." And Jay understood. The suit wasn't testing for strength or for perfect health. It was testing for a specific, terrible experience. It was testing for someone who had touched death, truly touched it, and had come back. The other species, for all their power, had never truly died and been revived. Their minds and bodies interpreted the suit's simulated death as a final, absolute enemy. They had no framework for it. Humans did. Humans had myths about it. Humans had medical procedures for it. Humans, in their strange, fragile way, had made peace with mortality as a step in a process, not a full stop. The memory began to change. The shattered cockpit of the Guyong box started to dissolve, not into darkness, but into a complex, three-dimensional map of light. It was a map of his own nervous system. He saw the brilliant, healthy pathways, and he saw the dark, scarred, broken lines of his damage. The map was not static. It was pulsing in time with the slow, resonant beat from the suit's core. Integration complete. Blueprint is accepted. Commencing physical reconstruction. On the observation deck, the flatline tone suddenly stopped. The silence that followed was even more shocking. Then, a single, weak blip appeared on the heart monitor. A green dot jumped on the screen. Then another. "Cardiac activity," Min shouted, leaning forward. It's restarting. It's a perfect sinus rhythm." The brainwave monitor remained flat for another agonizing second. Then, a slow, deep, alpha wave appeared. The wave of a mind in a state of deep, restful peace. It was nothing like the chaotic, alert waves from before the flatline. "Neural activity is returning," Min breathed, tears in her eyes. "But it's different. It's coherent, synchronized." On the main viewer, the suit's outer shell began to glow again. Not the harsh blue of the initial scan, but a warm, golden-white light. It pulsed gently, in perfect time with the now steady beat of Jay's resurrected heart. Hannah could not speak. She just watched the light pulse, slow and steady and alive. The death suit was no longer gray. It was shining, and inside Jay was coming back. He was not coming back as the broken man who walked in. He was returning from a journey no other species had survived. He had passed through the door marked death, and found something waiting for him on the other side. Not an end, a beginning. The suit had found what it was looking for. Not a warrior, a survivor. The observation deck was a frozen tableau of disbelief. They had witnessed death. They had heard its final tone. Now they were witnessing a reversal. The monitors did not show a struggle back to life. They showed a calm, deliberate rebuilding. Min's fingers flew over her console, her voice a hushed stream of data. Vitals are stable and improving. Heart rhythm is textbook perfect. Brainwaves show high coherence. Almost no chaotic noise. The suit's internal energy matrix is now fully synchronized with his biology. They are pulsing as one system. On the main viewer, the suit glowed with that warm, inner light. It was no longer a foreign object. It looked organic, like a second skin made of captured sunlight. Inside, Jay was aware. He was back in his body. But it was not the body he remembered. He felt quiet. The constant, background hum of pain that had lived in the base of his skull for 3 years was gone. Not numbed. Absent. It was like a noise that had stopped so completely he could now hear the silence. He took a mental inventory. The tightness in his left shoulder, gone. The occasional flicker in his vision from the neural scar, gone. The low-grade headache that was his normal, gone. He felt the suit against him. It was not a shell. It was an extension. He could feel the cool surface of the platform beneath its feet. He could feel the slight vibration of the station's engines through its connection to the floor. The suit was giving him data not as numbers on a screen, but as sensations. The calm voice returned, but it was different now. It was no longer a detached instructor. It was integrated. It was his own internal monologue, but wiser. Biological reconstruction is primary. Psychosomatic alignment is complete. The archive is healed. He saw it in his mind's eye. The intricate map of his nervous system was back, but the dark, broken lines were now shining with a soft gold light. They were not erased. They were repaired, reinforced. The suit had not deleted his history. It had honored it by making the scar tissue stronger than the original. "He's moving," Hannah whispered. On the viewer, the suit's head lifted. The movement was smooth, effortless. There was no jerk of a motor starting. It was the movement of a person waking from a deep, restful sleep. Inside, Jay flexed his fingers. The faint tremor in his left hand was absent. The movement was precise, powerful. He took a step forward. The suit moved with him, a perfect mirror of his intent. There was no lag, no struggle for control. It was like he had been wearing it his whole life. He looked down at his arms, covered in the pearlescent material. He willed the suit to tell him something. Immediately, a subtle, translucent display appeared in the lower edge of his vision. It showed his vital signs, all optimal. It showed the suit's status. Symbiosis, active. Function, medical rehabilitation, complete. Medical rehabilitation. The words hung in his mind. All the grandeur, all the fear of a superweapon. And it was a hospital bed. A very advanced, very demanding hospital bed. He thought of Hannah. He needed to tell her. He focused on the idea of communication. The suit responded. A channel opened in his mind, a clear line to the external comms. His voice, when he spoke, was calm and clear. It echoed slightly in the chamber and rang out in the silent observation deck. "It's not a weapon." Hannah jumped at the sound. She fumbled for the comm control. "Jay, are you coherent?" "I am," he said. He took another step, feeling the incredible, effortless strength in the motion. "I am more coherent than I have ever been. The pain is gone." Min was crying openly now, tears of pure scientific awe streaming down her face. The suit read his chronic conditions as primary damage. It has repaired them, not suppressed, repaired. "What is it, Jay?" Hannah asked, her voice trembling. "What is its purpose?" Jay looked at his glowing hands. "Its purpose is to heal, but only for someone who can survive the diagnosis. The process, it makes you live through your worst damage first. It makes you face it completely. If you can survive facing it, then it fixes you." He paused, the understanding washing over him. The other species, they couldn't survive the diagnosis. Their minds broke when forced to confront their own deepest flaws or fears. The suit saw that break as a terminal failure and stopped. Overseer Kaito stepped forward, his large eyes fixed on the glowing figure below. "It is a therapeutic device? Of such extreme, lethal design?" "It was not lethal by design," Jay replied, the suit feeding him the understanding as he put it into words. It was lethal by necessity. It was built by a species that understood death as a step in a process. To them, truly healing meant first simulating death and resurrection. It is a filter. It was looking for a consciousness that would not fight that simulation, but would integrate it. He raised his arm, willing the suit to retract from his hand. The pearlescent material flowed back like living liquid, revealing his bare skin up to his wrist. He held his hand up, fingers spread steady in the air. Hannah could see it clearly on the viewer. There was no shake, no weakness. My nerve damage is gone, Jay said, and for the first time, his voice cracked with an emotion that was not pain, but wonder. It fixed me. He willed the suit to cover his hand again, and it did, sealing seamlessly. The observation deck was in an uproar of low, urgent voices. Theories were flying. The implications were universe-changing. Hannah just stared at the figure below. The death suit was a myth. What stood in the chamber was something new. A man made whole by a technology that had killed every other applicant. A technology that saw humanity's greatest weakness, our intimate, fragile relationship with suffering and mortality, as its core strength. Jay stood in the center of the chamber, bathed in his own gentle light. He felt no urge to smash through the walls. He felt no surge of aggression. He felt a profound, peaceful capability. He was healthy. He was whole. And he understood with perfect clarity that this was only the beginning. The suit had finished its primary repair protocol, but it was still online. It was still linked to him. It was waiting. It had healed the patient. Now it was ready to teach the doctor. The sterile quiet of the observation deck was gone. In its place was a low hum of frantic activity and murmured shock. Technicians scrambled to capture the flood of new data. Overseer Kaito stood perfectly still, his large, dark eyes reflecting the golden glow from the viewer below. Min was the epicenter of the storm, her voice cutting through the noise. She pointed at her screens, her words rapid and clear. Look at the readings. It's not just repair. It's optimization. His neural efficiency has increased by 80%. His cellular decay markers have reversed to a youthful profile. The suit has not just patched him. It has upgraded his entire biological system to its theoretical peak. Hannah heard the words, but her focus was on Jay. He stood calmly in the center of the chamber, a being of warm light in the stark white room. He had moved, spoken, revealed his healed hand. He was not a monster. He was a man who had walked through a fire that consumed giants and had emerged, not scorched, but renewed. Jay, Hannah said into the calm, her voice steadier now. How do you feel? Clear, he answered immediately. The clarity in his voice was unmistakable. I feel clear, and I understand. He looked down at his hands, turning them over. The suit is showing me things. Not with words, with knowledge. It's like I always knew how it works, and I just remembered. What is it? Kaito asked, stepping closer to the comm panel. What is its primary function? It is a medical symbiosis armor, Jay said, the title coming to him from the integrated consciousness of the suit. Its creators were facing a galactic-scale plague, a thing that attacked both body and mind. They built these to save their civilization. The suit had to be able to diagnose anything, from a virus to a psychic trauma. To do that, it had to fully merge with a mind. To fully merge, the mind had to be able to accept a total reset. He paused, finding the right words. You have to be willing to die with it so it can map the exact moment of system failure. Then, it brings you back and rebuilds from that blueprint. The other species, their minds fought the reset. They saw it as an attack. Their own biology turned against them. The suit read that internal conflict as a fatal disease it could not cure, and the process terminated. And humans? Hannah asked, already knowing the answer. We have a word for it, Jay said, a faint, amazed smile in his voice. Catharsis. We tell stories about dying and being reborn. We have spiritual traditions about it. Our medicine sometimes stops a heart to fix it. Our minds, We can look at our own end without shattering. We can integrate the idea. That's all it was looking for. A mind flexible enough to say yes to death as a step, not a full stop. Min turned from her screens, her face alight with a revolutionary thought. Don't you see? It means human consciousness isn't primitive. It's advanced in a way we never measured. We prize stability, fixed states, perfect health. The suit prizes resilience, adaptability, the ability to navigate profound existential chaos. Our weakness is our signature. Kaito processed this, his alien face unreadable. The suit heals the wearer. This is a personal miracle. But of what use is it to the consortium? We have many advanced medical technologies. As if in response, Jay moved. He took a step toward the wall of the chamber. He placed his palm flat against the cold metal. In his mind, he asked the suit to analyze it. Instantly, his vision was overlaid with data. Molecular density, stress points, energy flow in the conduits behind it. He could sense a hairline fracture 3 meters to his left, a flaw in the welding. He knew the exact pressure he would need to apply to shear the wall and the exact pressure to gently reinforce it. It's not just for healing, Jay said, pulling his hand back. The data faded. The suit is a universal tool. It can analyze anything it touches, can fix anything it understands. It learned how to fix me. Now, it can apply that same principle of analysis and repair to a broken machine, to a sick animal, to an ecosystem. He looked up, as if he could see through the ceiling to the viewport. Its purpose was to save a civilization, not by fighting a war, by fixing what was broken, by healing the sick. The implications settled over the deck like a physical weight. The greatest discovery in consortium history was not a weapon. It was a medic, and humanity were the only ones who could wear it. The suit has a database, Jay continued, his eyes distant as he accessed the stream of knowledge. A vast medical database of the builders. It is part of the symbiosis now. Can feel it. It is dormant, waiting for a problem to solve. Hannah's mind raced. Jay, can you control the symbiosis? Can you step out of it? He nodded slowly. I think so. The process is complete. It is my tool now, not my cage. Then we need you to come out, she said, looking at Kaito, who gave a slow, solemn nod. We need to see you. We need to run our own tests. We need to understand what has happened to you, to the suit. The council must know. Jay stood quietly for a moment. He felt a strange reluctance. The suit was peace. It was capability. The outside world was where he was broken, where he was the fragile one. But he was not broken anymore. He focused his will. The command was simple, release. With that same soft sigh, the seam reappeared down the front of the glowing suit. The material lost its golden light, returning to pearl white. The front split open. Jay stepped forward, out of the shell, and onto the cool platform. He stood in his simple black bodysuit. He was just a man again. He took a deep, shaking breath. On the observation deck, Hannah let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. There he was, alive, whole. But the suit behind him did not power down. It remained standing, open and empty, and along its interior, where Jay's body had been, a soft, pulsing network of golden light remained, tracing the outline of a human form. A ghost in the machine. Permanent blueprint. It was waiting for him to return. The medical bay was quiet. Jay sat on the edge of an exam table, a thin gown over his shoulders. The air was cool. Min moved around him, her scanner humming. She had been checking him for an hour. Her earlier excitement had settled into a focused, solemn wonder. I can find no trace of the neuropathic damage, she said, her voice soft. Your cellular health is exceptional. Your brainwave coherence is unlike anything in our records. It's calm, synchronized. She put the scanner down and looked at him, not as a subject, but as a person. How do you feel, Jay? Truly. Jay looked at his hands, resting on his knees. They were steady. He felt the smooth, solid surface of the table beneath him. He heard the faint buzz of the station systems. It was all so clear, so distinct. The constant static of pain was gone, and the world had rushed in to fill the silence. "I feel empty," he said, and then clarified when he saw her concern. "Not in a bad way. The pain was a thing living in me, a noisy, angry thing. Now it's gone. The space it left is quiet. It's room for other things." He flexed his fingers. "I feel capable." The door hissed open. Hannah entered, followed by Overseer Kaito. Kaito's large eyes observed Jay with a new, deep intensity. "The preliminary report is sent," Kaito hummed. "The Consortium Council is in an emergency session. They are reevaluating humanity's standing." "They are afraid," Hannah said simply, standing beside Min. "They saw a weapon. Now they see a key to a technology they cannot touch. A key only you hold." Jay nodded. He had thought of this. "They should not be afraid of me, or the suit. They should be afraid of the problems the suit was made to solve." Kaito tilted his head. "Explain." "The suit is a medic," Jay said. "Its database, I can feel the edges of it. It contains medical knowledge for diseases we have never seen, for planetary-scale environmental collapses, for genetic decays that last millennia. The builders weren't just fighting a plague. They were trying to fix a broken universe. They made these suits to find helpers, partners who could wear the tool and do the work." He stood up, the gown rustling. He walked to a view screen on the wall which showed a live feed of the artifact chamber. The suit stood there, open and empty, the golden human-shaped ghost still glowing inside it. "It didn't choose a perfect warrior," Jay said, staring at the glow. "It chose a broken mechanic. Fixed me first. Maybe that's the job." Hannah understood first. "You're not a soldier. You're a field surgeon." "The suit is a field hospital," Jay corrected gently. "And there are more of them." He turned to face them. "The database has locations, vaults, on dead worlds in silent orbitals. Hundreds, maybe thousands of suits just sleeping, waiting for a compatible consciousness to wake them up. The builders spread them out, hoping someone, somewhere, would be able to use them to carry on. The scale of it was dizzying." Kaito was silent for a long moment. "And you believe you can find these others? You can wake them?" "I believe the suit can lead us to them," Jay said. "And I believe other humans can bond with them. Not all. Not everyone can face the reset. But some can. The ones who have known deep pain and carried it. The ones who understand survival." He looked at Hannah and Min. "We are not the galaxy's new champions. We are its paramedics. This trauma team, our greatest skill is not conquest. It's resilience. It's getting back up." The room was quiet. The idea was so vast it was hard to hold. "What is your intention, Jay?" Kaito asked finally. Jay thought of his workshop, of the simple, good work of fixing a broken coil. He thought of the empty, patient suits scattered across the stars, and the countless forms of suffering in the universe they were built to address. "I want to go back in," Jay said, nodding toward the viewer. "Not to hide, to learn. The suit has finished healing me. Now it wants to teach me what it knows. How to diagnose. How to heal others. Then we find the next suit. We find the right person to wear it. We start building a team." He looked at Hannah. "I will need an engineer to help understand the non-biological systems we encounter." He looked at Min. "I will need a biologist to help translate the suit's medical knowledge for other species." He finally looked at Kaito. "And we will need the Consortium, not as our masters, as our dispatch, to tell us where the suffering is worst, to point us at the fires we are built to put out." It was not a request for power. It was a proposal for a function, a new role in the galactic community, born not from strength, but from a unique, hard-earned compatibility. Kaito studied him. He saw no ambition in Jay's eyes, only a calm purpose. The death suit had not created a conqueror. It had created a craftsman with a universal tool. "The Council will debate this for a long time," Kaito said. "But they cannot deny the data. They cannot deny you." He made a decision, a slow nod. "You may return to the suit. Begin your apprenticeship. We will assemble a human team for assessment. Discreetly, Jay felt a wave of relief. It was a beginning. An hour later, he stood once more before the open suit. The golden imprint of his own body pulsed softly, welcoming him back. Hannah and Min watched from the observation deck. He did not step in as a sacrifice this time. He stepped in as a partner. The material closed around him, and the warm, golden light enveloped him once more. The silence of the suit was not empty. It was full of potential knowledge. A vast library of healing, now open to a reader who had finally passed its brutal literacy test. On the console, Min watched the new data flow. Suit and wearer are in full symbiosis. No stress markers. It's beautiful, Hannah. It's a perfect partnership. Hannah watched the glowing figure in the chamber. The death suit was a name from a faded, fearful past. It was wrong. As she watched Jay raise a hand, and a complex, three-dimensional diagram of a Borland respiratory system appear in the air before him. A diagram marked with gentle, corrective solutions. She knew what it truly was. It was a hope suit, and humanity, the fragile, resilient children of a blue world, were finally putting it on. Not to rule the stars, to mend them,